All right, so are we ready to start? Ready to record? All right. All right, so tonight our demo is Kevin Bassett. He's going to be talking about bowls and what makes a good bowl, safety concerns, and also talking about our extravaganza coming up in October and what we're going to be doing to judge all of that stuff and all the key points. I think you all have handouts for that. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin Bassett.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks, y'all, for having me. Even though I'm a member, it's good. I came up with this idea for a Bowl Makers Challenge to benefit the Empty Bowls project for North Texas Food Bank. Lou's a champion of that, and you've made more bowls than anybody that I know. So this is we're talking about maybe dragging 4 of our little jet lays out to a park and having a little fun, camaraderie and lighthearted competition. Is not, but so they're looking for. I think I've got pretty well. Lou has agreed if he stays with it. Did I get close to something? I hear the little reverb there. Lou and Brian Evans would be the old timers, so we're kind of naming the teams. Hunt County is dying to come do this, so they've got Donna and her mentor wanting to come and be one of the teams. And then I think before we kind of fell through on this idea in October because we lost our venue, City of Garland. So we're still looking for another venue, some real nice park where we can get got some power to run all this equipment, and we're going to do it in October when it's nice and cool. So it'll be the Saturday after the meeting in October. That's what we're shooting for. I got a date, don't have a venue yet. I'm working on that. So the rules are there, and basically I'm going to give like 45 minutes to go from something about like this, or smaller, okay, or for you, Lou, I brought this one. So, yeah, does it? Yeah, see, and I want to talk a little bit about safety. But so tonight's thing, you're going to score my bowls that I make, and so I've got a thing there, and safety's part of this. And so there's some really bad habits that we develop, and I'm the worst of them. You know, one of them. And I had this little accident the other day. You know, I set stuff on the one tool here and be turning with this tool here. Well, sooner or later that comes off, hits the floor, flips over, and sticks you in the shin. I mean, it's not going to kill you, well, unless it gets... Mine was pumping blood pretty good. I must have cut a little artery or something. So there's that. So this would be a penalty in the scoring. You would say, and so you guys are going to score these penalties when I do them. The other thing is like moving this with the lathe running, or if I walk away from the lathe with it running. Those would all be kind of penalties. If I throw it off and hit you with it, that's 10 points. I lose 10 points on that one. So that's if I hit Lou.
No, not again. Not again.
Yeah, I already got Lou one time years ago. A natural edge bowl too, wasn't it? But anyway, yeah. Well, you get points on size. So on a natural edge bowl, I get the widest width of it, and that's one of the points of this demo is I can get a little bit larger bowl going natural edge than I can than a regular old traditional round bowl. And so to turn a natural edge bowl, you start with the bark towards the headstock. And with a regular bowl, you start the other way around. And so this would be the foot, this would be the top, and with a natural edge bowl, the foot's down here and the top's up where the bark is. So that's 2 basic differences between the types of bowls. These, if you want to turn a perfect bowl, you start with green wood, you turn it down, you make the wall thickness maybe 3/4 to an inch in thickness. We use 3/4 for a bowl when you turn them green to begin with. So you rough turn them, and then you come back several months later after they warp and bend and crack and do whatever they're going to do, and throw out the bad ones and make you a few really nice bowls. You just turn them a second time after the water's left. instant satisfaction. You go straight. Well, you know that's. Excuse me.
I've turned green bowls before.
Yeah.
Then you just let it, like you turn it thin and then you just let it.
Exactly, and that's exactly what this demo is about today.
So actually, it wasn't a question. I've turned green bowls where I turn it green, I turn the walls thin, and then it just elongates and warps.
Yeah, it might get a little warpage. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's a nice feature if you can do that right, because
Yeah.
it'll warp along the grain.
Yeah, that's exactly what the demo's about tonight.
Oh,
So-
well, whoops.
So, but you know, safety's part of it. Moving the tool rest with the priest turning, leaving the lathe with it running, putting tools and leaving them here. So you guys will kind of call the fouls. Okay, so that's kind of. We had a lot of fun over in Greenville last week with all the wonderful mistakes I make when I'm turning without your face
And
shield
there's a
on.
lot of them.
A lot of who?
A lot of mistakes.
Stop it. Oh, take that mic away from him. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Yeah, sing out. Sing out. If you see me do something messed up, you know.
Yeah. So if you got a question in the audience, just look to Chris or myself to get a mic, please.
Yeah.
That way the folks on Zoom
And
can
let
hear.
me know so I can look up from what I'm turning and make another safety violation. So the other thing I want, you know, you don't sand with the tool rest in place. We're not going to do any sanding. None of these bowls, and even in our little competition will we be sanding. This is all about the cut. And so I brought some bowls, and some of these you've all seen because they were here before. And Chris, you want to help me kind of pass these around as I go through them? So sometimes you blur the line between a bowl and a platter. This is Bonnie McDonald. Beautiful work here. Probably a little dusty, but you know, it's got a curvature in here, so it's kind of like a bowl, but it's actually would be like this. What I'd set up on the wall as a platter and present that. So. Ken, I have yours in the truck. I was going to use yours to show the pure platter. Okay. So this is kind of, so we're looking at form, and depending on what you like and what the function of the bowl is. This is my friend Chris Pierce up in Colorado. Taught him how to turn. He made this bowl and sent it to me. This is a nice shallow bowl, maybe fruit or something. It's got a nice big base on it, so it's stable. Okay. This is one of our members, Roger Smith, and so this would be more like a little candy dish. And so what they have in common is I'm looking for a pretty even wall thickness here and a nice curve that goes through. If you have a foot, we like to see the curve go all the way through the foot so it isn't just kind of crashing into the table. This little bowl, I call that a complete bowl because it starts here and goes all the way around to there. So you're, 90 there, 90 there. Mark Montgomery, beautiful finish, nice bowl. Good shape, good form. This is another Bonnie McDonald. Okay, and this technique is called, what do they call that? Where they dip it in the they use the carrageenan and put the dye in it. Marbling, yeah. So she dipped that, and it's another one. Now she's got a little lip in here, and a very nice little shaped little bowl. These would all qualify for being good enough for. This one's Sharon Ayers, another one. So, okay, small bowl there. A lot of rim, a lot of beautiful embellishment work here, and a very nice bowl that you'd love to get that for a gift. This one's like almost a plate. This is John Holderman over here. So instead of putting the color on, this is the color in the wood. This is box elder, and it's got this beautiful red streaking in it. And it's another one that's it's kind of blurring the line between a bowl and a platter. But I like the shallow bowls. Lou Boudreau, another nice full complete bowl, good proportions, nice curve all the way through the foot. Beautiful, put it that way. And so I'm showing, I don't have a monitor, but I'm looking at that curve right there, and that curve completes in and doesn't just go smashing down into the floor. I call those, so function follows form. If I'm making a bowl for the dog, then the dog bowl, not much curve, big base, so that when he's pushing his water around, he isn't spilling it or his food. And you want a really stable bowl for the dog bowl. So that's one thing. But if you're wanting a bowl to put in your library, maybe this David Ellsworth bowl would be more of a thing with the teeny little foot here. So you can see. So David turned that right here. And I was lucky to steal that at the auction. So, but this would be looking nice in my library. But function-wise, the dog would make a mess out of that. This one is the calabash form, so it's slightly curved up in here, curves right around. Curve goes all the way through, no foot, but it's just a nice swooping curve all the way through, from there all the way to there. And this is also a demo bowl from Stuart Batty. So these two here are some of the best turners in the world. And then on a demo, I think David did that particular bowl, what, in about 12 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. I mean, he knocked that thing out at the very end of the demo, So pretty fun stuff. Lou, you can start your clock. I got 45 minutes from here, right? Safety, you can start your clock. I've done a little bit of prep. I'm going to do the natural edge bowl first. And I've done a little prep, and for safety's sake for this meeting, usually I don't do this, but this is actually a good idea. Take a chisel, cut out a little square here in the center, so that you don't have the bark plugging up the four-way. When I do natural edge bowls, I like to have be on between centers so I can adjust the bowl around a little bit. If I went on a face plate or something else like that, I would be locked in to where I'm at. With doing this, I can still, if I don't like where it's sitting, I can kind of adjust it a little bit. So when you get up here above it, that's slick. Get in the center here. I forgot to cut the ears off on this one. Usually I would have rounded this one like I did that one. And I think to make things, this is probably going to kill me right here on time, Lou. So I want to get this to engage real well. And if I'm looking straight down here on the overhead camera, you can see that I'm a little bit tilted that way and a little bit shorter on that way. If I want those two edges to be even, I just need to move my tailstock over just a hair like that. So I mean, if you get it between centers, you can make these adjustments as you go along. And when I'm turning it, okay, so I flip it around and maybe back the other way a little bit. So I want to get that kind of in the right spot. Okay. To make sure I've got a good bite on this, there's a spindle lock over here somewhere. There we go. I'll get it here and wiggle it back and forth a couple times. That's going to let that four-way open up the wood a little bit. So now I can drive the four-way into the log a little bit deeper, a little bit stronger. Okay, I like to start with down here on the bottom, and I'll do a little pull cut to get going. Okay, I'm going to start slow, and then we'll ramp up the speed. Okay, so usually I have my little Hawaiian girl that jitters up here, so you can feel the vibration in here. So probably the worst accident I've ever seen in a demo was he was doing a natural edge bowl demo, and he gets this, and he hadn't really locked in that there, and he's saying, okay, so there's a harmonic to this vibration here. If I go a little faster, it may smooth out. Yeah, not hardly any vibration there at all. So when Hugh did that, he hadn't locked in the spindle. Thank you. You gonna charge me for that one? I haven't made any cuts yet. Well, when he did that, it caught, and the four-way caught the edge of the bowl. It came out, went over this, hit up there about where that screen is, knocked a hole in the wall, bounced over the gantry here, landed on the floor in front of the lathe, and rolled up to somebody on the first row that stopped it with their foot. He was standing about where I'm at, and that bowl went right by his ear. And if he'd have been standing here, he's probably dead. Scariest thing I've ever seen on a lathe, wasn't it, Ken?
Now, can I add a piece to that?
Sure.
It was not a bowl. It was just a big piece of mesquite. It wasn't round in any direction.
He was going for a bowl. He hadn't gotten to the bowl yet.
And it had all that bark on it. And this was like a buzz saw. I was standing this close to him, okay? And I knew what he was going to do. I saw he was going to speed it up. And I froze. And that thing went right by his ear. That would have peeled his face right off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, scariest thing I've ever seen. Okay. So I'm just going to start with a little pull cut here. And so I'm going to make a tenon about right in there. I don't know which is worse, having stuff hitting you in the face or not being able to see what you're doing. I don't know which is unsafer. But I've gotten where I don't like stuff hitting me in the face, so I've been wearing the face shield more and more. Highly recommend it. In the OSHA rules, if we had a wood turning shop, you'd have to have the cover over this. You know, the little framework that keeps that, if that comes off, it's point of contact. And so really for our safety, it's the PPE that does it for us. So the face shield, pretty much a mandatory piece of equipment, some kind of goggles, you know, glasses, safety glasses, probably not enough because you want to protect your jaw. If something flies off of this and hits me, you want it to be something, you want some protection on your face and jaw and teeth. You know, if you want to get your extractions done for your new teeth, maybe don't wear the face shield so much. So, okay, so I turned it off. You can't score it. You can't deduct a point there. I turned it off. Normally, I would probably whip this around when it was turning, but don't do that. Oh, well, you know what? It's not turning, and it's only one. So no point deduction there, please. Thank you.
Not yet.
You know, I'm going to try and have a real clean one this time. You know, I had enough negatives. I probably didn't score anything on the bowls I made it. So we give this a little spin, make sure it's clearing this before I turn it on. And I'm going to slow it down because I've kind of changed positions a little bit. And then ramp up my speed again. Now you can deduct a point for this because I'm going to move this a little bit. There's a no-no, right? But what happens if I actually push that in there? Not much. It just kind of pushes you back off. So is this a good spot for you here? For the grind? So it's just a fingernail grind, which gives me the wings to take off quite a bit of wood in a hurry. So now you can't, I'm going to move the tool rest, so don't count any points off for that. Make sure I'm clear. This is the problem with using a lathe you're not used to. So I like to keep the tool on my hip here and use my body to make this curve. If I'm pushing with my hands, it's harder. You can't get around the corner to make the curve down here at the bottom. So I start from a position where I'm a little uncomfortable, and then I'm going to shift my weight into it. It's they kind of consider this kind of dancing with the lathe. Okay, so I'm going to leave that kind of, let's see where we're at here. Hopefully that was the hero cut. Yeah, so I like it. If you look at this, I like this nice little, kind of like it's smiling. Nice little curve all the way through. Okay, so now I'm going to doctor up my my tenon a little bit. And I'm kind of like John. I like to use a parting tool for that. And hopefully I can size it to fit this chuck, more or less. And one of the things that Matt Monaco preaches is that you want this diameter and that diameter to be pretty close where the jaws are almost closed. That gives you the best grip. And it's really, what's holding it isn't squeezing the bejesus out of the tenon.
Do you want to show
It's
that
the
on
geometry. It's the geometry of this being flat and this journaling up to it being flat here. It's more the geometry of this than just brute strength and squeezing the bejesus out of it. And a lot of woods with a real straight grain, you squeeze it too tight here and you'll snap that tenon right off. I've done it at least 100 times. You done it, Todd? Oh yeah. So, you know, and when you do that, you know, piece of wood goes flying. It's interesting. A lot of safety. It's kind of like I'm an arborist and I climb trees for about 25, 30 years. And safety on a lathe is a lot like safety when you're doing tree work. It's how you position your body that really scores your points or doesn't score your points. As far as getting out of it in one piece every day. So I can see that this is a little bowed right there, so I'm going to straighten that out. And I'm going to square that up. And now I should have me a pretty nice tenon to grab and flip this to do the inside. So we got half a bowl. And there should be a knockout bar somewhere in here. This end. There we go. There we go. When I first started, I'd just hammer that in there and that'd go flying and hit on the point. So I always try and hold on to it and be a little more gentle about extracting the four-way stuff now. That was in the box.
Greenwood bowl. Greenwood bowl turning. No, I haven't.
Kevin,
Yes.
Were you concerned about the pith when you took that piece of?
Yeah, when I cut them out, I eliminate the pith. I don't like the pith in the bowls. That's where the most movement is in the wood. So if you want to try and not have checks and cracks in your piece, when you're sawing up the log, get rid of the very center of the tree. So, and actually several growth rings with it. The tighter the growth rings, the more movement there is there. So this tree was I murdered it in about into June, I guess. It's Bradford pear, and it does have a light spalting on it. And you can see right here, that distance isn't too great. Matt would probably like it about half that width. But
Kevin, you're talking about green wood. Do you do anything different if it's dry wood?
as far as how I cut it,
Yeah, do you worry about it cracking or anything, or the
Absolutely.
pith or anything a lot more if it's dry versus green?
well, you still got the movement problem, and if you started it with it green with the pith in it and you dry it out, and I can probably find 100 pieces of wood in this shop here that have cracks in it from being too close to the pith when the sawyer cut it out of the log. That core about this square around the center of the tree is, for me, is pretty much worthless stuff. But loggers being who they are and lumbermen being who they are, they like to make money on every inch of that tree. So
And I think if the wood is dry, the bark is not going to stay on as well.
that's true. This has been and by the way, we have some for sale there in the back. I'll do a little club thing there. We have anchor seal, and so I use that to paint the ends. You can use what is it that Mike Mahoney likes? He just white glue. White glue. He thins it about 50%. 50% water. The other part, and just paint that and seal the end grain. You want to keep the moisture in the log, and that goes if you're going to kiln dry it or whatever. So I think I can get away with being out there. So I'm going to use the same gouge, and I'm going to start hogging out this and get to a bowl. No penalties yet? Just the one? Just the give me?
We're waiting for the second bowl.
So if this was my lathe at home, and since this headstock will slide on here, if I was doing a whole mess of bowls, I'd actually bring the headstock down in here so that I could stand on the end of the lathe and do this turning, and then I could keep locked up in my hip a little bit better instead of having to do this. Okay, so if you got a lathe with a headstock that'll move it. You know, use it to your best advantage. Turn a spindle lathe into a bowl lathe. And I'm leaving this mass here in the center to support this. When I get thin on the edge here, I need that mass in there. So the bevel, let me see, as you can see that, whichever way that points is the direction I'm cutting.
Hold on a second.
Do I move by the rest? Okay, so whatever direction the bevel points is the direction you're cutting. If you're not cutting the same direction the bevel pointing is, you're just scraping. Okay, so if I'm here, like that, those are kind of scraping cuts, whereas if I'm back here, now I'm cutting with the bevel. And boy, I wish I had a little more light here. I could see the edge of that bowl a little bit better. So I'm going to get where I can see the outside curve here, I can see the bevel there, and I can go out and start nibbling that way parallel to the outside edge. Hard to see. Does that mess you guys up? Yeah, that's better. Thanks, John. Now I can remove this. The only cuts that really counts is the last one. All this stuff, you're just hogging out wood. there's going to be two catches in this demo. One of them is on purpose and the other one's an accident. You figure out which one. So I can still see, I can see that edge, and if you look real close right there, I can see the thickness of my wall thickness right there, the distance between that bevel and the outer edge of the bowl. Can you see that on the picture? So I can just follow that down. So one of the criteria there for scoring is even wall thickness. With green wood, and if you're rough turning big bowls to make them perfect bowls later, wall thickness is key. It needs to be consistent all the way through the piece, or you get more movement in one part of the bowl than the other. That makes the pressure in there and makes the crack. So there's the second one. You know what? Why is it doing that? I'm not close enough to my work. I need to move my tool rest and get close to my work. Then I probably won't have that problem. And I can look at, oh, so I already threw the bark off. So that's on the score sheet. That's a form loss. Okay.
Kevin, why do you have to be so close to the wood? What do you need on the other side of it?
For every inch that this tool is over the rest, to control it, I need 5 inches back. And so I was getting pretty far over the rest, and what was happening was tool was vibrating. And I was getting quite a bit of the wing stuck into the wood, and it was even getting worse. So, yeah, bigger, fatter tool probably doesn't vibrate as much as that one did. But, you know, as far as removing wood, I think you can, maybe a small tool goes just as fast as a big tool. I don't know. I just don't like great, big, huge tools. That's... So I can follow that down, open up a little bit, and chase my curve. Also, when I get in here, see, I'm going to start sticking that wing into that. That's going to be a problem. He's over there waiting for me. I can hear your brain waves.
Is there anything you could have done to preserve the natural edge, CA or something?
Yeah, I could put CA on it beforehand. Yeah, you could do that before you throw. You know, like I would do it. I would do it after I got the outer shape, before I started hollowing, and then probably just on the outer edge. Yeah, you could do some stuff. You could try some stuff. I don't know. With CA, you want to make darn sure that you get that. This little banjo, I mean, the way this sticks in is kind of strange to me.
Now
you ever notice that?
You said you harvest this in June. You wouldn't have that problem if you harvested it in October, November, correct?
October, later in the year, the bark wants to hang on better. If you do it in the spring, you'll almost always throw the bark off. You know, that's when it wants to slip. I thought by, being in the summer, we'd be to summer wood vessels, and it might be a little drier. And I got away with it with the one in Hunt County. But this tree has a little spalting in here. And where it's spalted, that means it was probably dead in that part of the tree, and so the bark's a little less strongly attached in those places. So, onward and upward here. Make sure we're not hitting that. This banjo is strange with that corner there. I'd offer my design services to Laguna if anybody knows anybody over there. My critique services anyway. So, get rid of this.
Kevin, do you want to talk about your left-hand position and how
this hand here?
Yeah, you stand behind the tool rest.
Yeah, I'm right on top of it, but you don't want to get anything over between that and the piece, especially on a piece that's kind of like a finger chopper in the first place because it's longer than it is wide. Square turning, that will get you off ever, doing this kind of a thing. Never there. always here or here. Except on spindle turning, I will wrap my fingers in grip like this for ultimate control. That's a spindle turning technique though, and not for bowls. So
Because the bowl is wider than it is long, width,
yeah,
longer
this
than it is
dimension,
wide.
This dimension is longer than this dimension.
But so you want it to be faster when you turn it, correct? So you're turning less air?
I want it to be faster because I'm going to get a better cut that way. The faster the wood's turning underneath the tool, the smoother the cut can be. Stay. Boy, I ain't got any room there. Okay, about here, when I start getting here in the bottom of the bowl, it gets harder to keep the bevel with the wood without running my hand into that edge. And so this is about where I want to switch to a different type of a gouge. So who here knows Jimmy Clues?
Put it close to the tool rest.
There we go. Okay. So this is more like the traditional bowl gouge, but with a micro bevel.
Uh-oh, penalty. Blade's running, you have a tool on it. No, that was Glenn. It was not me.
No, that was a good call. That was a good call. That's another point off. So, man, you guys are tough. You distract me and then give me penalties. Break my concentration.
Good teamwork,
So can you
Glenn.
see that grind on that, Ken? Does that show up pretty good on the... Okay. So you see there's two angles on there. There's the little part of the bevel that I'm going to cut with, and then there's some relief cut to keep the heel out of the piece. And down here in the bottom, if you catch the heel down in there, you'll actually start compressing the wood with the heel instead of cutting, and it'll pull you out of the cut. So John calls that the bottom feeder. I think that's kind of a derogatory term for... So I can just slide that around, make nice shavings. I'm getting down here where the wood's a little wetter.
Now, you want even wall thickness? At what point do you care if the bottom is
Well,
a little thicker?
I want this diameter thickness to be pretty much the same of it right down here where the foot's going to be. That thickness and that thickness should be the same. And so it's consistency of wall thickness. So let me set this caliper up here. So, see, need to open up a little fatter right there. A little fatter right there. A little fatter down here in the bottom. So I could make a pass down through here from about here down and maybe smooth that up and make my wall thickness a little more even. So we'll try that. So Todd, you mentioned my hand position. Do you not like that?
No, I just wanted people to be aware of it.
Okay, good. So, oh my goodness, they don't miss a thing, do they?
Pretty soon you're going to be negative points again.
Yeah, well, that's just the way it goes, you know. It's just remember that when we get out there in October, you guys are going to be turning in this. There's going to be somebody with eyes like a hawk.
are you opting out already?
You know, if you start with a 15-inch bowl, you'll be just fine.
Well, you know what? I just realized I left one of my needed pieces at home, I think. Normally I would have a little block of wood I put in here to put that against, and I think I'm just going to use the jowls. Okay, normally I have a little block of wood I put in here, and one of the reasons for keeping the centers and being between centers is I can come back up there, get this about where I want it here, come back there on center, and I'll be back on true round to do this foot and get this part out of my way. So I think by kind of coming up with these scoring and these penalties, when you're turning yourself, as you start thinking, oh shoot, there's a penalty point, you'll get safer. If you do something right enough, you'll develop the right habit. And so I've been working on that myself. So I'm just on the jaws. And I'm going to turn pretty quick, and I'm going to turn very light cuts. Because if that thing spins on the thing, it'll make a heck of a mess at the bottom of that bowl. And so for here, so I use 3 different gouges when I turn bowls or natural edge bowls. To do the foot, I like a guy that's really kind of pointy. So where do you want it? About right there, is that good? Okay, so
Hold on. Put it on top.
there, is that good? See, this is kind of a spindle type grind on here, and I just do it by coming up on the wheel and pushing that up and rolling it as I go up, and then lightly dragging it back, which gives me a little bit of a relief cut there. But the point of it is it lets me get in here close in these small diameters. Okay, I'm going to roll that a little bit, make sure it didn't hit anything. I'm going to turn the speed way down. All right. How am I doing on time, Lou? 27 minutes?
After this off the lathe, will you go back and remove the rest of the bark?
I can, and if I do that, I'll usually take the burner and go back over and burn the edge to get the contrast I want. Kind of depends on what it looks like. So with a pretty thin wall thickness, if I go too deep here, I want slightly convex in the bottom so it sits on the rim there, on the edge right here. And if I'm flat, if it puckers a little bit, there's probably a little more deformation there. So, like I said, this little gouge lets me get in here pretty tight. And so I'll check to make sure I'm slightly concave there. Okay, I can probably go a little bit more. It's actually a little high right in there. Hopefully I got enough room. We'll see. If I cut through, duck. So another way I kind of gauge how thick that is when I'm doing this, and for me it's all by feel. I mean, you can measure it and stuff, but if I use this tailstock here, and if I push in, can you see that movement? It's almost like a drum. That's pretty darn thin right there right now. See, can you see the bottom moving? So I think I'm done. Yeah, see, it moved a bunch back out that way, and actually, it's thin. And now it's real thin, but it'll sit. So I don't have much room for sanding there in the bottom, that's for sure. You can actually turn with light to tell you your wall thickness. And put that back up there. You like that? See, now if it was, so I'm a little, woo, good catch. If I was turning this by light, I'd want that pretty much consistent with that, or this consistent with this. And I'm quite a bit thinner right there.
If you hold it right here, they all can see it, like this.
Does that do it?
Can you all see through the bottom now?
So I could feel that in the tailstock.
Let me pass that around.
Okay, so there's a natural edge job with a point for form and maybe some wall thickness consistency, and you can send that around. I let it dry before I sand. Yeah, Desiree. You saw my what?
Your lock.
Oh, look at her. See? Good catch.
Just taking away another point for you.
Another
Sorry.
point disappears. So y'all, make your scores in that bowl, and we'll live with whatever you come up with. Oh, I didn't. You know what? We didn't measure it. Here you go. So that's like probably 7 1/4, my guess.
Oh no, right at a little over 8. 8 3/4 maybe.
8 3/4. Okay, so on the points that get 8.75.
Well, yeah, but you lost 10.
I didn't lose 10. I lost 4 or 5. You guys call it. I don't care. I'm just doing a demo up here and having some fun. Hopefully you are all too, having fun scoring. Now, if that's got a magnet on it, does that count? Mine at home have a magnet on them, so when I set them there, they're not going anywhere. Yeah, I got magnets. But good catch, Desiree.
I'm mad I didn't see that.
Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't. See? Okay. So something a lot of people do this, and I think Lou, you do this almost exclusively, right? You turn with the screw. Okay, so
if you come to my house, there's not a bolt ever turned that's not done this way.
Is that right?
Every bowl.
Every bowl. It's probably the safest. I still like to go between centers. So this is kind of a new thing for me.
You created an argument with my son about this, by the way. He thinks he can not do this at home because he doesn't do it at your shop.
Oh, well, you know what? It's your shop, it's your rules, He's going to eat at your dinner table. You tell him you do it my way or go somewhere else.
And he can't take me yet, so he has to do what I say.
Yeah. Yeah, well, sometime a little after, about a year from now, that'll change. So, so is he out running in the heat, getting ready for the Marines today? So this is kind of weird, dude. I finally found bottom on that. So I got a couple of spacers. Desiree. Good job. You got me paying attention now. So I drilled, what's this hole? 3/8? 3/8 on the one way? Okay. So I've seen guys that turn on the lathe and do this. That always, that when you hit bottom on that and that jerks you around, I always thought that looked a little iffy to me.
Michael Boyle will teach you to do this by using the tailstock, tightening the tailstock up.
Setting it up there and
He'd yell at you right now if he saw you doing it by hand. He wants the tailstock all the way up and then tighten it. He says that's the safest way to do it. Don't do it that way anymore, but
you know what? That ain't coming off.
That's what I say.
And since I'm starting at the bottom, I'm not going to pull this up at all. The advantage to this, what Lou does here, because we're going to cut, instead of an Audi tenon here, we're going to cut a recess, and we'll turn it around and grab it with this chuck by expanding into that recess. And so I can do the bottom of the bowl, grip it here. If I do it right, it won't be too noticeable. And turn the whole outside of the bowl here with the way to grip it, and then just flip it around and do the whole inside of the bowl, so 2 steps instead of 3. So this is going to be faster, but I'm going to have a smaller bowl. So we're going to start at the bark side. Man, I'll tell you what, I think I might write Laguna a letter about their banjo. Hey, sorry. All right, so I turned it way down. I'm going to turn it on. I'm at 0. It's a good habit to get into before you crank up any bowls to, and run your speed up. There's my vibration. So my little Hawaiian hula girl's doing this. The big fat Samoans, maybe not, but, I can go a little bit further. Smooths right out. Find the harmonic in there. I like to turn fast. So I'm really not on the bevel there. This pull cut's actually kind of a scraping cut. If I go far enough out here and turn the corner, now I'm cutting with the bevel going that way. I was going to do it, but I knew you guys would catch me. Okay, so I can hear this bark popping. See, this bark's loose. Could you hear that popping? I could hear that popping. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that little piece of bark there. Yeah, a chisel would be good to have, but I don't have one with me, so I just got my fingers. Yeah, if you got all your tools with you, yeah, at home you always got everything. So I need to probably be about that big on the inside to grip. Move my tool rest around. How's that? Almost. Caught myself right in the middle of trouble. Okay, so we're going to cut from the top to the bottom now. Same thing with, moving your body around the corner. You can't, if you're pushing with your arms and stuff, you'll make flat pieces. You'll have, instead of have a nice smooth curve, it'll go this way and then it'll turn sharp. Duck. Trying to look at the shadow there and see where I'm at. A little bit more to go.
Do you try to get rid of all that bark area, or do you leave it for character?
Whatever you want to do. I'm trying to make about a 5-inch diameter bowl. That's what I'm trying to do, and I don't care if the bark's on there, but I like a round bowl. And if I leave that, so yeah, I do that sometimes. Leave these flat, and then hollow it, and then you get a bowl that's got a square edge on it. You can do that. Got a little bit there and a little bit there, a lot there. I must not be in the center. And so this bowl may not score because it may not be too darn small. It's going to be close. So I can go up here and touch back here and feel it. Dust bother you, Desiree, or is it my COVID?
$14 minutes.
I got 14 minutes left. It's all over but the crying.
He caught that. You see that?
Huh?
You caught yourself. You're going to leave that tool.
I was. So I'm using my parting tool, and depending on which kind of chuck you have, and I don't really like the way I kind of got this set up, and it's maybe because I don't do screw chuck turning too much. But I'm going to so I guess form-wise, since that's going to be, I'm going to grip it in here. I don't have a lot of wood here. I'm a little nervous about this thing, actually. I may have messed this thing up. But if it's less than 5 inches in diameter, be right there. Okay, I don't like the sharp rim. And so I'm going to put a little, I'm going to roll that edge just a little bit.
Watch that little bit. Just made it under 5.
And just for fun,
I hope it's
a
like
little run back.
16 now.
How many of you all use wire burners? Anybody use wire burners? Yeah, I did too. This is half a wire burner. The other half hit me right there, went all the way through the muscle, and this part went up and hit the wall because I got too crazy and I didn't cut a deep enough groove here, and it bounced out, went into the chuck, snapped that thing in half, and so that was probably about 3 or 4 hours in the OR, emergency room, getting sewed up. So what I do instead now, if I want to put an edge on that, you go to Home Depot and they have a section in there where they sell this stuff for cabinets and stuff. Formica. That's it. Formica. So I can put me a burn line in here with this.
All those samples are free, too.
Yeah, they're free. They're free. They're hard and they're flexible, and they're kind of a cool thing to have around the shop, but they do make a nice little embellishment there to see a little more rim. And then if you're really fancy later, you can come in there and paint that or dye that rim. And any of them. I got the black ones, but it doesn't matter what color they are. They'll put the burn line. It's the friction and burning it there that's doing the work.
You can use a scrap of wood too. It can be anything.
Yeah, guitar strings. I've seen that. Yeah, anything. But these wire burners, I like them, and I've used them for years and years. But I had and I still do use it. But when I'm flipping the other way and trying to go here, and I see that chuck spinning around, well, trust me, I remember. Every day I get up and see that. And let's see if we can. There we go. So I'm sunk if these won't close close enough to get in there. We'll see. I'm probably sunk. Um, Under the Farmica. Good call. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You should have just took the negative point and left it where it was.
Probably should have done a lot of things. I bet it don't fit. I can smell it coming. It's just going to be that much short. Yeah, I need the 3 jaws or the 4 jaws. Yeah, well, you know what? I'm never one to say die, so.
The one he had tested with the other.
I don't like this at all. Are you nervous? You nervous? Really? I think I got enough on that.
Watch out, Lou.
You guys, you better be a look alive. Do you need the catcher's gear, the mask, and the... Well, I'll be gentle. Feels pretty solid. Five minutes, he says. Pardon me? Yeah, if I was going that thin, but I'm about as thick as I'm going to get, and you won't get light there.
Okay.
You won't get any light coming through it. That's this thickness. So, little bowl. Got a little high spot in the bottom. Okay, so I took Lou's advantage away because I messed it up. What can I say? I have to turn more with a screw chuck and get used to it, I guess. But I think I can still come up with something here, huh? Yeah, it's not bad like it is it? Except for these big dents in it. No, I don't have a center in the bottom anymore. I don't have anything. I'm fixing to have a center in the bottom, though. I hear you guys mumbling. You saying bad things about me already? My big fat thumb. It's magic. But I do have a little pip there.
Couple minutes.
2 minutes? Look at him. He's gonna DQ me on this. The game. There you go. Eating into my 2 minutes. So maybe this one's a little bit more like a Roger bowl with the candy dish type. Or a big fat foot.
Didn't you want the bottom to have a foot?
Yeah. Gotta have a little foot. Is it 1 minute now? Or 30 seconds? What, me worry? Okay. Grind. This is probably too much to pop off, but done.
You made it.
I made it.
Hey, I had my face shield on the whole time. At least I didn't get called for that.
Any last comments or questions? Oh, yes. Hold on.
So measure. Did we get the 5?
When you started out with the block, did you actually have a plan for what it was going to look like, or did the plan always evolve as you?
This one won't score. It's 475. Garbage.
When you started out, did you have a plan to make it look that way, or do you evolve every time?
That one evolved. Most of the time, I know where I'm going. Helps to have a plan. I find in trying to visualize these things, to have a whiteboard or a chalkboard or a piece of paper and a pencil and draw what you're trying to do, especially on the more complex stuff. Hey, Rob? Of course, he's got it all up here. Yeah. Well, yeah, he knows where he's going and where he's going to end up. So that's 475, and I thought it might end up being a little slow off because I didn't have a lot of wood to begin with there, and I didn't get it dead center when I mounted it.
Should have left the sharp edge. It would have made it.
Pardon me?
Should have left that sharp edge. You would have made it.
Yeah, maybe. Calabash. There you go. If I'd have done a calabash, I would have been wider over here like that. That's true. That's true. But you know what? That's something that you can set by the sink and put your rings in so your rings don't go down the garbage disposal. Yeah. No, it's so when we do this thing, we're going to do this in teams. So there'll be 4 lathes out there. Everybody, all 4 turners get a lathe. There'll be two on 2 lathes, 2 on 2 lathes here. We'll score them, and the team that has the most points and does the most bowls. So there's real strategy in here. Do I make 5 or 6 dog bowls in my 45 minutes and lose on form points, or do I do nice natural edge bowls and get all the length out of it and keep the edge on it and get more points that way and the wall thickness nice and thin and even? Do I spend more time doing those and score points that way? So the teams have to kind of collaborate between themselves to figure out what works best for them and how they're going to score more points than the other guys. Then they'll run. Then the next heat will run those 4. So we'll have 8 total turners, 4 teams. Those 2 go against those 2. Winners go. So they sit aside. Next 2 go. Those 2 winners meet, and there'll be 3 heats. And
Kevin,
eventually we'll have some fun.
If I'm not mistaken, we have 3 teams from here and 1 from Hunt County, correct?
Well, we got 1 from Hunt County because they want to, and I think it'll be more fun to get some more clubs involved and see if we can. And so all you guys that make bowls, make a whole bunch of bowls, practice a lot. We'll make them empty bowls, and we'll give them away. And if somebody comes through and will give us like $25 or $35 for that bowl, that's how many meals is it? You get how many meals can you get for $1 on there? Like 3 meals for $1? Is it 3 for $1? Yeah. So yeah, if you get 3 meals for $1 and we get $35 a pop on those, your work is really contributing to keeping people from starving in North Texas. And there's nobody in this country should be ever going hungry. Not in this country, but they do every day. And the food bank's there to help them, and that's why we support them as a club. And if we've got, I don't know how many bowls you got at home, but if we have 300 or 400 or 500 bowls to give away out there at that kind of a clip, and of course we'll charge more if you make a really nice bowl like Lou does, we'll get more money for it.
And Rob, you cannot get out of this.
Where in Hunt County?
I'm in Hunt County, and I have a long drive to get here. Is there another chapter out in Hunt?
Yes, Hunt County Woodturners.
Where at?
They meet at the Methodist Church there on, what's that street?
Wesley?
Yeah, right off
Yeah, right off the freeway.
next to that QT.
That's
In
about
your
10
backyard.
That's about 10 minutes away.
There you go, in your backyard. And that is a
Do I
great,
get the loser award?
You could have went there 2
you
weeks
can
ago,
join
saw the
both
same
clubs, you know? You can
Hunt
join
County
both
meets
clubs.
the second Thursday.
Second
So
Thursday.
I'm in both clubs.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, Hunt County's a really good club. They have a good mentoring program there as well. And, yeah, they're tip-top. Good guys.
Yes, sir.
Anything else? Mike, you're looking at me laughing.
Expand a little on how you do with the light. When you do the light on your, because I've seen you do a number of bowls with the light.
Okay, so
do
I
you
said,
get an even wall, or is it the light that tells you it's an even wall?
right. So when you start getting thin on the walls, if you have a light here and these lights down, you can see the wood will start to glow. Okay, as you get thinner and thinner, it'll start off, it'll be a dull red like that first bowl. And as you get thinner, it'll get a little bit more like a bright orange, like the bottom of that bowl. And you get even thinner than that, and you'll start to get a really nice yellow color. Then you're getting pretty thin. And shortly after that, it's white. So, yeah, you don't. The white's no good. You went through, and but it's kind of an interesting technique to turn. And if you, the guys that turn cowboy hats and stuff, they use it. They put a light through the headstock, and when they're turning the top of the hat, they've got that light in there to tell them how thin they're getting up here on the top. So there's a lot of use for using light to help you turn. And it, you'll be sitting there going, yeah, I'm real thin, and you put the light up against it, and it's not even orange yet. So you take that next cut and keep going, and oh, there we go. There's a nice bright color. There's a nice color of orange, and so it's kind of fun, and you turning in the dark. Kind of the way I do it all the time. So you can still feel the moisture in this bowl, though, and so this bowl will warp a little bit. But by having, so the thinner the wall thickness, the thinner that is when you're turning green wood, and that's why I like to do natural edge green wood bowls. You can get them nice and thin, like you were saying, and you got something straight from the tree. You can do it with the wood juicy. There's no other kind of wood turning. I mean, if you need these kind of boards if you're going to do tables and cabinets and all that neat stuff you do with flat work. But with a lathe, it takes them 2 years to get to be able to make something out of a piece of wood when we can go that day. So cowboy hat, natural edge bowls. Yeah, that's right. Cut your tree down today and have you a hat tomorrow. So that's what I love about lathes is that it puts you in real intimate contact with the tree. So, which is always exciting to me because as an arborist, I've learned more about the internal structure of trees doing this than I ever learned, cutting on them and chipping them up and, hauling them off and basically either pruning them or killing them. So either helping them or getting rid of them. But it's been a lot of fun for me tonight. Thank you guys. Good audience. Yep.